Brunch with Brian. There we are. And today we're talking about, oh, I'm muted. Oh no, I've got a mute issue. Hmm. All right, let me see if I can fix this. I probably can't. Darn it. Am I still muted? I think I am. So, I wanted to talk to you about, am I muted still or am I off now? Somebody tell me if I'm muted. It looks like I'm talking. Yeah, it looks like I'm on. Can you hear me? Yeah. Good morning, Caleb. How you doing? You're good on sound? Okay, great. So today, Teaching Tuesday is coming up later, of course. And I'm going to do a live Teaching Tuesday, and I'm going to talk about what is stopping you from success? Okay, so we develop sort of bad habits sometimes in our life. So I'm going to talk about 12 ways to break bad habits, and we'll go through bad habits. What are your different bad habits? There's a lot of possibilities. Poor time management is a bad habit. We're going to explore why you aren't having more success, and we're going to dive into that. And so there's 12 things you can do to break a bad habit. One of them that I like is you need to substitute a good habit. Not each of these are standalone. It's sort of a process that I'm going to take you through where you're going to be able to beat your bad habits and be able to focus a lot more time and energy on being successful. So I want you to, before Teaching Tuesday, which comes at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, and then we repeat it 3 hours later at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. I really want a good turnout today, guys. Let's have a lot of people because this is a really crucial topic that I'm talking about, and I really want to get you past whatever's holding you back. And so we're really going to dive into what your situation is and what your bad habits are. So, any bad habits you think, write them down in advance. And we'll talk about how to break those bad habits, a lot of different methodologies, and a lot of different powerful ways. One good way is substituting a good habit. So you see a trigger, there's triggers in your environment, and those triggers make you go into a certain role and go into a certain process of behavior. I have it. Okay, so sometimes, man, if you see the box of cookies, what role do you go into? You go into needy, needy eater. Okay, or sometimes we solve our emotional issues with food. I think everybody does that a little bit, but that can get to be a problem if it's a constant habit. So again, that's why we want to identify the habits and interrupt the patterns. There's patterns that are set up in your brain. So we have to take the triggers and either remove the triggers from your environment to remove that bad habit, or you need to develop a new response to the same trigger. Some triggers you can't get out of your environment even if you want to. And so, like people, there's certain people in your world, that may not be always positive, but you don't want to be rid of them. I mean, they're necessary for you in a lot of ways, but they trigger you in negative ways. So if you can identify those ways, then you can operate much more efficiently. So today we're going to talk a lot more about that, but look at your life right now and what triggers you to go into a bad habit process, and then try to figure out what is the trigger. Write down some of your triggers. Obviously, now if you have a little trouble drinking, now I used to I don't drink anymore because I kind of had a problem with it. Okay, I will admit that. I had challenges with that, so I had to quit drinking because it turned into a bad habit. Okay, so let's identify those bad habits, identify the triggers, and sometimes your bad habits are so ingrained. Just waking up and getting out of bed, you're gonna do that bad habit, like smoking cigarettes. So if you smoke cigarettes, you're going to wake up in the morning and you're going to have a smoke, and then you're going to have all these triggers when you eat, then you want to have a cigarette after that. I used to smoke too, so but I quit smoking, and I used also adverse conditioning. adverse conditioning I'm going to talk about today because adverse conditioning is really powerful. What is that? It's just every time you get you see the trigger, what do? You adversely trigger yourself. You think of something gross. The way I got over smoking cigarettes was I visualized myself, okay, it's going to be gross, but like licking a dirty ashtray and puking, okay, and throwing up all over the place. All right, so that was like very adverse conditioning. And if you continually, always, every time that trigger presents, you always do your adverse conditioning, that's how you can break a habit. But the one time you let it slip in there and you start romanticizing the habit, that's dangerous. Okay. Romanticizing your habit. And I'll tell you, in the beginning of your bad habit, somehow it was romantic. Somehow it was cool. You know, smoking was cool and it was kind of romantic, but now it's making you sick, you know, or whatever your habit is. So we'll talk about habits today. We'll talk about breaking bad habits and addictions. I'll get into addiction a little bit. Addiction is like the bad habit on steroids. And so let's talk about those things today and how you can be more powerful and get your mind focused on the right things in life instead of getting distracted and wasting time on a bad habit. All right, so that was a lot to go over today. So let's have a really good turnout on Teaching Tuesdays today. Let's have everybody there. And if you missed them, if you missed or if you can't make the 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, make sure you're tuning in 3 hours later, and you're going to be there for the catch this incredible training session today. All right, so I will see you later on Teaching Tuesdays. And until then, keep it. Oh, well, I always do like to take comments, but I'm kind of in a hurry today. Caleb always is so good about making comments and great info. Thank you, Memo. Thank you for making a comment. Yes, triggers and negative patterns. And let's all look at that a little bit closer. All are overcomable. Yes, you can conquer all of them when you switch your triggers. Looking forward to teaching Tuesday. Excellent. Okay. Oh, that's so interesting. Okay, now there's a little bit of a deal there. Yeah, you cigarettes used to be 50 cents a pack, I remember. Oh my gosh, you could put 2 quarters into a vending machine and pop out some cigarettes. That was kind of wild back in the day, but that's when I used to smoke. So guys, let's break our bad habits and let's have a more powerful and successful life. All right. So until I see you guys later on Teaching Tuesday, keep expecting success, taking action, and getting the best training from the Wolf Couple.